I cannot tell you how many times I get asked, how do I color grade? And so in this video, I want to show you all the tools inside of Resolve that I use to create a variety of different looks depending on the project and the video. For this video, I'm going to be using this clip that I shot recently for a wedding on the Ursa Cine 12K LF, this guy right here. And like I said, color grading is where there are certain rules you need to follow, but also know when to break them and come up with your own style. So let's dive into it. So we're going to head over to our color page here. I'm going to make this quite a bit bigger because it's a big monitor and I got lots of space. Now, if you're creating videos for the internet, the first thing you want to do when grading your footage is actually correcting it into a Rec 709 space. Now, I actually just recently came out with my own LUT pack that comes with two LUTs, one that has some nice, vibrant, almost color contrasting vibes to it, more of that nice modern teal and orange type look, and then also one that has a very low contrast black and white that I just love. These actually have the Rec 709 baked into it, so if you are a Blackmagic shooter or you're shooting on Apple Log for iPhone, I've made these two LUTs incredibly optimized for that type of footage, and you can just literally slap one of these on a single node and it will do that conversion to Rec 709 and add the style on top of it all in one click. If you're interested, links to that LUT will be in the description below. But if you want to go the more step-by-step path, then what we're going to do here is first go to Blackmagic Design. These are the built-in LUTs. Again, if your footage is coming from another manufacturer, just find the specific LUTs that work for your camera. But I'm going to choose the Gen 5 Film to Extended Video. And right away, we can see that this is now looking like real life colors. Now, I'm still in the correcting phase, so I'm going to correct some of my primaries. For me, the biggest thing I hate is blowing out any highlights. And although this thing has a whopping like, 15, 16, whatever stops of dynamic range, crazy amounts of detail there. None of this is clipping. If we bring up our scopes right here, we can see there's still plenty of detail in there, but it's still a little hot for my taste. So I'm going to bring down the highlights just a touch to bring a little bit more detail back in. And you can see the difference there. It's just a touch. And I am going to bring up the contrast a bit. So much setting yourself up for success has to do with the color correction phase. Because what you need to remember is a lot of times we focus on just a singular clip, right? And a lot of people can make one clip look really good. But if you don't take the time to color correct, then you probably will miss out on an important step when you're dealing with a whole project, which is color matching. So if I go back to my footage here and let me just grab something from the same day, but probably will have a different look. And let's get these two coming down the aisle here. Again, same camera. And so, of course, what I'm going to do is just save a still here. So I'm going to grab a still of what we did on here and apply it to this one. And you can see they are very right on. Obviously, it's different. You know, they're in the sun right here. And this one, they're more in the shadowed. So everything's a touch cooler. So if I want to match these a bit, I may bring up the warmth ever so slightly. It's looking good. I also think I need to, what's throwing me off is the different aspect ratios. And they're super off. All right. So I forgot this one is open gate, shot at like 12K 60, 12K 80 something. And this would be 8K 220, I believe. So you can see here the importance of shot matching and taking that time to dial those things in, dial your primaries in before you really get into the style of things. Now, when I'm dealing with like skin tones, for example, let me go to this shot. Let's say I wanted to adjust their skin tone. Their skin tone to me honestly looks pretty spot on. But if I wanted to make adjustments, what I'm going to do is under my primaries, I go to add a node, add parallel. And then you can do this a variety of ways. The way that I used to do it is the qualifier tool right here. I'm just going to select their skin. I'm going to turn on my little mask view here. And then it's about playing with these sliders to isolate the skin. And boom. All right. Here is a pretty good qualifier. You can see it's pretty much just all skin. This literally looks like the creepiest thing ever. And while you can color grade while the kind of mask view is turned on, I usually then turn it back off so I can see how things are moving in relation to the whole image. So you can see if I really exaggerate things, you can see how much detail we're playing with here. About there. Tints ever so slightly to the right. And so you can see this subtle difference there, hopefully with YouTube compression. But it made it a little bit more my style. Like the default is a little more magenta. Mine has a subtle hint of green in it kept. And that's my style. That's what I like. But again, this video is all about me just pointing out the tools that I'm using, and then you adjust to your own taste. Now, obviously, as you saw, messing with the qualifiers and really refining things can take a long time. So I'm actually going to reset this. And recently, and I guess it's been a handful of months at this point, we got a new tool, which is Color Slice. And in here, it basically automatically singles out all the different colors of the picture. So that way you can adjust those colors without having to make any sort of qualifier selections or even using the magic mask. And one of the areas that they have is skin. And so if I just press and hold on this little button, we can see what it thinks is skin and is grabbing it. So you can see it's it's a decent amount different than our qualifier. Our qualifier was done manually, very selective. So here it is going to grab a little bit more. But again, if we come in here and I just want to make a quick selection, like if their skin tones were just really off, I can pull it a little bit this way. We can also increase the luminosity or decrease it, and the saturation. So if you want to make a, if everyone wants to look like an Oompa Loompa, there you go. Or if you want to desaturate any specific colors or the skin for any specific reason. And I'll leave it at one of these ridiculous. I'll leave it on Oompa Loompa for a sec, just to show you that when I play this back, again, you don't have to track any masks because it's just looking at those specific colors here. So obviously bring it back to a better level there, something like that. And if we turn this on or off, you can see the slight adjustments made there. So anyways, once you have your corrections done, this is where you can get into style. So this is where you could definitely go in and grab some of those creative LUTs that you may have. My friend over at Epic LUTs makes some good stuff. But again, his is kind of like mine where you wouldn't do that conversion first. So if you're noticing this happen when you are adding LUTs on top, it means that the conversion is built into the LUT and you don't need to do that. So if I wanted to use that LUT, I would turn off my correction node and then I would just place this LUT on top. However, then there's other LUTs where you do your color correction, and then let's go into like motion ray, for example, cinematic LUTs. And then you can see that these are just adding an extra layer of style on top of it that are more subtle, but they work with your color correction. So just two ways of doing it. So like this one looks really nice. This one's really, really subtle. You can see if I turn it on and off, It's really just bringing down the shadows a bit, adding a touch of green. But yeah, so that's one way to do it. The other really cool thing that's built into Resolve now is the Film Look Creator. This tool has been my go-to now. Like this is how I custom made my own LUTs and everything. And just spending the time to really create some own looks that you like is really cool here. So right off the bat, when you put it in, you can choose between these different styles, vintage, cinematic, stuff like that. But you can also, if you want to start from a clean slate, you can do that, and it's going to reset everything. It's not going to, you're not going to notice any difference in your image. But now you can go in, and you even have more primaries that you can mess with up here. But I really love the halation, the bloom, and even a couple of these other ones, like Film Gate is really interesting. This one you can create kind of a specific look here. If you're trying to dial in a certain aspect ratio look, if we go to Gate Weave here, you can add grain. You can do multiple things in here, split tones, vignettes, but I'll talk on that in just a second. Film Look Creator is just one of those tools that you just need to get in there, start playing with some sliders, and really dive in to refine the look. But I find myself using this a lot after I've color corrected an image, and I really just want to add some subtle extra vibes to it. I do really like the vintage look. I will dial it back a little bit, so I can go up to Film Look Blend here. So if I go all the way to the left, that's going to be my regular color correction. And as I slide it over, maybe around 65%, this is looking pretty cool. Maybe I'll adjust my tint. And saturation, subtraction. And I'll pull down the highlights a bit. And here, if I turn this node on and off, you can see the look that it's created. So now it feels like it has a style to it. Now, as I mentioned, I don't add vignettes in here. I learned this from Wakazi, but you can see here that it just adds a very normal radial vignette, right? It doesn't work to the subject specifically. So I actually, on a new node, still like adding a manual vignette. And I don't mean the one that is built into here. There's this vignette. It's a little better. You can do like anamorphism and then obviously soften it a ton, but it still has the same kind of vibe as a regular vignette on it. So I actually add a circular window here, and I basically just make sure that it works for my subjects. And I just kind of put it at an angle like this. I want to feather it like crazy. And then I invert it, go over to my curves. I'm not trying to adjust any colors, just luminosity. So I'm going to dial this back. And you can see if we go all the way hardcore, that's where it's kind of affecting. And I'll just bring this down a touch. And then the cool thing about using a window with it is then I can go in here and I can do add node, add outside node. And what that does is you can see down here, it basically creates a opposite. We inverted our original window to affect outside of our window. And now it automatically creates the opposite window. And so now what I'll do is I will do an ever so slight like S curve of my subjects inside, and it just makes them pop a little bit more. It is ever so subtle, at least in this clip. Sometimes obviously it's more or less depending on the clip, but yeah, as you can see here, like we're still like what, 5-6 nodes in. I actually didn't even use this one. The first one I always reserve for noise reduction if you need it. So if you're doing low light, then the first one should always be noise reduction. Because believe it or not, there is a path that you should put all the nodes in. How we talked about in the beginning, how color grading is subjective, but there are some rules to follow. You can make your image look however you want it to look. But if you want to get the best quality and the best amount of data out of your source footage, then you do want to pay attention to in what order are your nodes. So if you want to go more in depth into that, I do have a whole course on DaVinci Resolve editing that's currently 50% off because I'm working on an updated version for the big new release that we just had for DaVinci Resolve. It feels like multiple big releases in the past number of months. But if you want to dive in right now, learn more about color grading, learn more about editing in DaVinci Resolve, it's there for you. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.